I see very often in the comments people who would very much love to buy the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, but they just don't have the budget. If that's you, there is another option that you might want to consider that is budget friendly and just as easy to use, and it's something that you already have, your phone. But it's not just your phone, because if you pair it with a gimbal like the DJI Osmo Mobile 7P, then you pretty much have a Pocket 3 for less, with some differences obviously. So in this video, I'll show you why the DJI Osmo 7P is a great alternative to the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 if you're on a tight budget, and I'll also share some tips to get the most out of your phone footage with this solution. And also something that you might want to consider before you actually go down this route, and it's something that more times than not makes me actually not want to use my phone to film my vlogs, but more on that later. So first off, one of the biggest advantages of the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, other than the size and the compactness, is the tracking feature. If you're a solo content creator, this feature is so valuable, and it's one that I use all the time. If you want to move around the frame, or you want to do creative shots where you enter the frame and then the camera tracks you as though someone's filming you, this is great. And if this is one of the biggest reasons why you wanted the Pocket 3 in the first place, but you just didn't have the budget for it, the Osmo Mobile 7P does have a tracking module. All right, so here's the tracker. I'm going to put it onto the bottom of the gimbal. And let me just put the gimbal down over here. Let me put it down over here. It's a little bit windy, so we'll see how steady it's going to be as well. All right, so I'm just going to flip the gimbal around so that I'm using the rear cameras, and I'm going to just make it a little bit longer. Oh, I'm not sure how steady that's going to be. Let's make it a little bit shorter so it's not so dodgy. It's a bit windy today. It's not the most even surface. And enable the tracking by just pressing the trigger button. Okay. And now, oh, and also press record. And so now, so that was the first limitation. Can you see it's not going all the way around? It doesn't have 360-degree rotation. So it will only go so far. So it kind of hit its limit around the other side. So I guess if I wanted to go around this side, I would actually have to just turn the gimbal round. There, it picks me back up again, and then move. Now, there is another reason why a lot of people love to use the Osmo Pocket 3, and it basically comes down to the image quality. It's pretty incredible for what it is, especially if you make a few tweaks to the footage, or if you just outright shoot in the log color profile, which is D-Log-M. If you want to get the best quality footage from your phone, you'll likely need to shoot in log. Again, it'll depend on what phone you have, but with my iPhone 15 Pro Max, I can shoot in Apple log and then color grade the footage afterwards. And if you have no idea how to color grade or even where to start, or you just think it's going to take way too long to do that, then I have been using FilmConvert Nitrate for years, pretty much since I started my channel back in 2017, because FilmConvert Nitrate allows me to not only color grade my footage, but also gives my footage more of a film-like look, because it's a film emulation suite with loads of different film stocks to choose from. It works with loads of different camera profiles, including the Osmo Pocket 3 and my iPhone 15 Pro Max, and it allows you to completely customize the look of your footage to exactly how you want without needing to know the technicalities of color grading, and it literally takes minutes. And the cool thing about FilmConvert Nitrate as well is that you don't actually need to convert the footage to a normal color space, so you don't have to convert it to Rec 709 first. You can do it all in Nitrate as you apply the film emulation. Plus, if you want to add a diffusion effect or a mist effect like you'd get from using a filter, you can use Hazy, which is one of FilmConvert's newer plugins. And again, with that, you can choose what sort of diffusion you want to add, and you can dial it in to the exact strength you want. So I've dropped a link in the description so that you can try out the plugins for free on a trial basis, and you get full access to everything. The only difference is that you just get a watermark on your footage until you're ready to buy the license. And if you do end up loving it as much as I do, and you want to get yourself a license, then you can use the code TamaraG or the link in the description, and that'll give you 10% off. But yeah, even with the free trial, it's definitely worth checking it out and just seeing how you get on with it. But that's basically how I color grade my log footage. So a few of the benefits to using the Osmo Mobile 7P if you were to go that route is that the tracking module doubles up as a fill light. So if you're filming in low light situations, you'll get that extra bump in video quality when you have that additional light source. And what's more, because you have the tracking module, you can use the native camera app or any third-party camera app that you want, like the Moment Pro app or the Blackmagic app, and still be able to make full use of the tracking feature. The other benefit of the tracking module is that when it's plugged into your phone using the USB-C cable, it acts as a receiver for your DJI mic. So if you have just the DJI Mic 2 or the Mic Mini transmitter, you don't actually need to go out and buy the receiver as well. You can just use the tracking module, which is pretty awesome. If you go for the Osmo Mobile 7P over just the Osmo Mobile 7, you'll also get extra reach because it comes with a built-in extension rod. So for group shots or vlogging or even just creative shots where you need that extra reach, it's going to be even better than using the Pocket 3, as with the Pocket 3 you'd actually need to attach an extension rod to it. Whereas with the gimbal, you just pull it out and then push it back in when you're done. And it also has a built-in tripod for those times where you just want to rest it down somewhere.
Hasn't done it before.
Oh, well, that's not good, is it? I would say you're definitely going to need to have a sturdier tripod at the bottom, mainly if it's a little bit windy and also the surface isn't quite level. So even though it wasn't on like an incline or a slant or anything, it was a little bit of a bumpy surface, so it wasn't resting perfectly. So as the gimbal was rotating, then obviously it threw it off balance and then it fell over. So yeah, I think if you're going to do anything where you're going to be using the tracking, I would, and you're not on a surface which is like a smooth table or something, I would definitely have a tripod base which is a little bit smoother, which you can, sorry, a little bit sturdier, which you can actually put onto the 1/4 inch thread hole at the bottom. So remember in the beginning how I said that there's a reason, well, two actually, that I don't normally like to film with my phone, and it usually comes down to battery life. When you film with your phone, it drains the battery so fast, but if you use the Osmo Mobile 7P, you can actually keep your camera charged whilst using the gimbal and filming, which is great. You can also use the gimbal to charge the camera whilst the gimbal isn't actually in use as well. So if you stop filming and you want to top up your phone, you can connect it to the gimbal and kind of use it as a power bank. The other reason why I don't typically like to use my phone is because the front-facing camera is typically lower quality than if you were to use the rear-facing camera. But as soon as you do that, then there's no way to actually see if you're correctly framed. If you use the tracker of the Osmo Mobile 7P, however, then it gives you the confidence to know that you will always be in the frame no matter what. Plus, the tracker has an indicator light to let you know that you are in fact being tracked, so that just gives you that extra peace of mind as well. So yeah, if you're on a tight budget and the Pocket 3 is just not in your sights whatsoever, then using your phone and a gimbal like the Osmo Mobile 7P could actually be a really good option. So I've dropped a link in the description to the Osmo Mobile 7P so that you can check it out for yourself, and also to FilmConvert Nitrate, so if you want to try it out and see how you get on. And like I said, if you do want to buy a license, I will also leave a code Tamara G where you can get 10% off, or you can just use the link in the description. So thanks to FilmConvert for sponsoring this video again, and I will catch you on the next video.